married men, sometimes we eat treats in our car.
I'm not there yet, so I don't know.
Does everybody have a clear idea of what Joseph does?
No. Well, I don't like talking about myself, but now that we're doing the podcast, I guess I have
You
to.
do like talking, though.
I do like talking. Coming on and doing a shorter set is even harder.
In an arena?
Yeah.
Very difficult.
I know you're part of the black community.
Yeah, I
so
hope
clam
so.
up.
You
Do you know
talking
who
about
Lex
how he
Steele
was-
is?
No.
I've heard
That's
the
one
name.
of my favorite jokes.
You know, my dream was to write for Adam Sandler and Happy Madison.
That's awesome. You did that.
There were some sketches I put on the internet at the time that got 2.5 million views. I got 5,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Where did those subscribers go?
They're still there. They're a little disappointed right now. But I'm in Florida. I'm doing stand in front of the buffet table. Everyone was standing around me like I was giving a toast.
Was the buffet open yet?
It was open.
So you were just in the way of people's food. So if
Guy-
I wanted a plate,
I wasn't completely blocking it. You could grab a plate.
you need someone who matters.
Kendra Lust presents.
Boom, brother. Now you are in business.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chloe Kaminskis, a.k.a. Chloe Monster, along with your host, Jaleel and Joseph, and this is Everybody
When
Lyrics.
we got coffee that day, you ordered the churros at night.
Oh,
and
that
I
shit
was
was
just like,
fire.
no, it looked, no, I'm not
That
disputing
was overdoing it?
Well, I just
I
figured
told you my
that it
wife
was.
wasn't there. Now you want to talk about it on the podcast?
Oh, that was just, is that you sneaking it? Sneaking the churros.
I don't think it's sneaking. It's just being respectful. Like, married men, sometimes we eat treats in our cars.
I'm not there yet, so I don't know. But any girl I've dated always loves sugar, so I'm always getting them away from it. So you have the opposite thing going on.
Yeah.
That's nice though. She's
But
healthy.
you know, I'm when I'm in my workout zone. No, nobody needs to know what I ate in my car because I'm working out. I'm getting it.
Yeah.
True.
What's your workout regimen these days?
Right now, it's pretty intense because we're about to go into second season for Flipside.
Okay.
So I'll probably go about 4 days a week and try to run anywhere between 10 to 12 miles a week.
10 to 12 miles a week.
A week.
Okay, so that's what a day then. That's like
It's like anywhere between 2.5 to 3 miles a day on average. If you know you're gonna miss 2 days.
what's the music you're listening to while you run?
Oh, a lot of inspirational music, a lot of gospel music.
Gospel.
Wait, really?
I love running the gospel
Wow.
or early 2000s T.I. Just some of the hip hop today, some of the mumble rap ain't gonna get me going.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I'll listen to that in the car with my daughter.
Yeah.
Like I actually love giving her the Augs.
The what?
The Augs.
What's that?
I
The
feel
aux
young.
cord.
Oh, the aux cord. I used to have an aux cord though. I remember that.
I like it when I
remember
catch a
those
younger
days.
guy slipping.
Yeah. Is that's the? Oh yeah, I guess that's the little plug-in, the black thing. That's pretty good.
That's crazy.
You don't know what an aux
Yeah, I do.
cord
I
is.
literally am using one in the
You
car
do?
right now. Yeah.
Oh, because that car doesn't have it.
Yeah.
So you're in your
I-
day to day, you don't ever discuss controlling the music as giving someone the Augs.
I've never said that in my life, but
Really?
I've never said that in my life. Is that a new thing or
Says
an
No,
old
this
thing?
is an
Says
old
the guy
thing.
with the Gary Shandling book behind him.
Yes. Well,
I don't even. claim
perfect
to be-
segue, Jaleel. Wait. Okay, so we were talking about last week how this all started, but
Yeah.
what I think when I tell a lot of people this, and a lot of people are like shocked, I had a podcast in 2011,
You did.
which
Okay.
was only at the time comedian-wise. I could be wrong. There was like maybe obviously Mark Maron was blowing up with WTF.
Okay.
I think Rogan was doing his. I believe Tom Green was the first guy to do a studio in his basement, which inspired Rogan,
Okay.
which is pretty nuts. And I just started the podcast because Judd Apatow did a high school radio show where he would interview comedians and just ask the questions he wanted to know.
Dope.
And I was like, well, when I'm starting comedy, let me start a podcast where I'm just asking people about their process and craft. I just thought it as a networking opportunity and something to like learn. And I had all these guys on from my first episode was Aziz Ansari. That was my first episode. I had
Okay.
like Aziz. I had Chris Rock at the Comedy Cellar.
And none of this is online available? So you filmed this and you kept it in your basement?
That would be creepy if that were the case. No. So, I mean, here's weirdly enough. It's 2011. I don't know if it's before its time. I didn't do video. I did mainly audio. But because I didn't know. This was way before clips.
I know.
Way before YouTube. I didn't know. I only recorded one episode on video, and I didn't see the value in it. I never thought like, oh, this is going to be something where you could make money. Matter of fact, I had all these big guests on, and I was trying to get comedy websites to promote it. None of them would return my emails. None of them cared. And I was very like, and I know I was probably a bit green on the podcast, but I was also like, but these are some pretty big names, and they're answering legitimate questions. So I was a little confused, and then I sort of was like, all right, but this is just fun. I did 100 episodes.
100?
Did 100. And like I said,
You did 100 episodes of a podcast with major names in a basement, and you have no footage of this at all?
No footage.
No stills?
Some stills and audio, and it was released. I have it taken down now, but now every week as this podcast starts, I'm going to start to clip it, put it with some kind of visual, and it's going to be like, whatever name I come up with, it's some like advice of the week or whatever, and kind of bring this from the vault. And I think it'll be pretty cool because I got, as a young comic, asking all these guys any young comic or inspiring, artist would want to know. And I got everybody from, so I had Gary Shandling on, which, as you know, a lot of young people don't know. I mean, Gary Shandling, one of the most iconic comedians ever. He had only done Mark Maron's. Maybe he had done Pauly Shore's, but I was like either the third podcast he had ever done, and I don't think he did many in general.
I wouldn't suspect he would have.
He did. He took an hour and 5 minutes of his time. We did it. It was one of the few I did by phone because we weren't in the same place, and answered all my questions. Was amazing. I was pretty surreal. I was pretty nervous, to say the least. Couldn't even believe he was doing it. And for people that don't know him, he created 2 groundbreaking TV shows, right? You would agree, right?
We'll see. Go ahead and say them.
The It's Gary Shandling Show, and the Larry Sanders Show.
Now, have you guys ever heard of these shows?
My mom was the script supervisor for the Larry Sandler Show.
Your mom was the script supervisor?
Get out of here.
Well, okay, we need to have her on, number one, and just talk to her. She
and
was the script for how many
Seinfeld.
seasons?
For the whole show.
Don't care about Seinfeld.
Wow.
What script supervisor for the Larry Sanders Show?
I'm pretty sure for the whole show. For the
Okay,
whole time.
we can listen. What I might at some point start like these one-on-one interviews on some other thing, but if it doesn't work for this, but I'm like, fucking, we got to have your mom on just to ask her questions because that's
This guy's
amazing.
a tangent king, by the way.
Well, that was I was just that's amazing.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah, it's a small world.
That's pretty unbelievable. So, I mean, if you don't know them, I think the Larry Sanders Show, if you put it out today, would still work. And still, I don't think anything about it feels dated. Whereas it's Gary Shandling Show, there is some parts about it that maybe feel dated, but still obviously funny. But Larry Sanders Show today, I think, would still, like, work. It was just such a fascinating behind-the-scenes show.
You could. Does everybody have a clear idea of what Joseph does?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, I am. Well, right. Yeah, I guess it's well, I don't like talking about myself, but now that we're doing the podcast, I guess I have
You
to.
do like talking, though.
I do like talking. I do like talking. Well, I'm a comedian.
So Joseph, first and foremost, is a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
I consider him, though, to be much more of a filmmaker. I think there's 2 kind of people on comedy side. There's stand-up comedians who get into film, like a Bernie Mac or somebody like that. May he rest in peace. Bernie was a stand-up's stand-up. Funniest guy in Chicago. Everybody in Chicago was like, if you've seen Bernie, you don't know Bernie. What are you talking about? And then eventually he just becomes a big enough act where the film community gets aware of him and he starts blowing up. And then I think there are people who are like a Judd Apatow, in my opinion, who are really filmmakers first, who have the capability of being stand-ups when asked and when tasked.
Yeah.
That to me is you.
Right.
And you have fantastic stand-up comedy, but you also have a real private way of living your life.
Right.
That
no one knows.
Yeah, that is not consistent with stand-up comedy culture.
Now, consider now what it's turned into. Before, it would have been like the normal trajectory. I mean, there are people that know about it. The 15,000 people each show attends Adam Sandler's comedy show, and I open for him.
So you open for Adam. Who else have you opened for?
In my life?
Yeah, stand-up. Who else have you opened for?
I opened for a lot of people. I mean, I'd opened for Donnell Rawlings at a time. He would always be gracious and let me open for him when I was young. Used to open for a guy named Godfrey, Gilbert Godfrey. I've opened for Susie Essman once, but like consistently,
What's the biggest forum that you've ever done? Arena?
Yes, any room with Adam, so all the arenas.
So you've gone all the way to Arena?
Yeah, so I've done I think maybe about 100 arena shows with Adam.
Okay, how long? How many minutes?
It would always range. So sometimes it could be maybe 7 or 8 minutes, and then sometimes it could be 5.
Okay.
which because he would have also a lot of people on the show.
Right, of course.
So it would be a lot of the shows would be him, Rob Schneider, David Spade, Norm Macdonald, Nick Swartzen. This is all on one show.
Oh, yeah.
And all those guys are doing 15 to 20.
Gotcha.
Adam doing about close to 2 hours of stand-up and music. So I would come out first.
Of course.
Warm up the crowd. And I don't think, if you don't know, coming on and doing a shorter set is even harder than doing a longer set.
In an arena?
Yes.
When nobody's even there yet?
Yeah.
Very difficult.
Well,
very difficult.
Well, luckily, we would always start the shows about 15, 20 minutes late. And so it would be, I would say most of the time pretty full. Only a couple times where it would be like people coming in. So luckily, we would kind of wait until it was like packed. So I never was going on where like people are still coming in, which I did do one time in Jones Beach outdoor arena. And it was like maybe holds, I don't know, 10,000 people. And there was maybe 2,000 or 3,000 there. And it was one of the most awkward. I mean, it was because to be in. And I remember as soon as I got off stage, one guy goes, "Hey, Joe, what's it like to play a half-empty arena?" And it was so awkward and just getting like, not like real. You're hearing like 2,000 people laughing in a place of 10,000. It doesn't sound that great.
When you, like I said, when you said arena of that size, and then you gave me the whole lineup, and I knew where you were, I knew how many people had arrived.
That was
not yet arrived.
That was like a rare situation where it was terrible, and that wasn't fun. But like still good learning experience. But like most of the shows I've done, will wait a half hour. When I get on, it's like if it holds, let's say 15,000, it's probably like 13, 14,000 sitting, and then people still will be sitting.
I love analyzing stand-up comedy. I've been to so many stand-up comedy shows in my life, and
you have.
I know. I'm fortunate to know a lot of top-tier stand-up comedians, but just noting the difference between the intimate, back room at the belly room type atmosphere, versus an arena in Boston versus an arena in New York. It's a skill set that I have a tremendous admiration for. And I feel terrible because I do feel like stand-up comedy is under attack, thanks to these darn phones.
Although it seems like it's switching. I feel like now it's calming down.
You think so?
Well, just in terms of people not getting as upset by people's stand-up sets. I think people are getting more upset like what someone might,
Chloe, do you
say
even
in
go
an
to
interview.
stand-up comedy shows?
I do, actually. I love stand-up comedy shows. I also love going to like ones that are like in college. I would go to this one comedy bar in San Francisco and go watch just people like try out material and stuff like that. And it was so much fun. Like, and I have tried my hand at stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
I get...
Oh, you've done it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. How many minutes did you last?
People laughing minutes.
That is a difference. There is
Yes.
a difference.
Dying counts too. Dying counts too.
You're up there.
People dying, that counts.
Yeah,
too.
because what did Chappelle say? I get paid for the attempt. So so if you're up there, if you do your time, you get paid. You get paid whether they laughed or not.
Well, so
what did you do? 5 minutes?
I did like 3 minutes, and then people were really weren't giggling, and so I excused myself off the stage and was like, maybe I'll write jokes instead of actually. I just got really shy. I don't know how you do it.
No, well, it takes time. I mean, I don't think I even got halfway decent. I mean, until like 4 years in. I think you just have like a lot of up and down shows, and I think anyone you don't get. I mean, there's very few people I came up with in stand up that were good. I think right away. I came up with like, Pete Davidson and Michael Che. Michael Che was like, I think because he was a little bit older and maybe a little more mature and he was just like a little more dialed in, he kind of got good quickly. He just got it. I don't know what
Michael's
it was.
Brilliant.
Yeah, he's a brilliant dude. He just sort of, I think, didn't have much fear, and I think I forget what he did before stand-up.
But I think when Michael speaks, he knows where he's going.
Yeah, he's very deliberate.
And
and he's concise.
A lot of people, when they are speaking, prefer the exhilaration of speaking,
right,
more than they prefer the exhilaration of landing what it is that they're going to say.
And he's patient. And
that's what I'm saying.
He's patient.
So like guys like Michael Che and guys like a Ryan Davis.
Yeah.
I compare those two because they're very comfortable speaking in a soft tone, at their own cadence because they just know where they're walking you.
And not
And
worried,
I
not scared
really,
of the silence.
Yeah, they're not scared. Who's my man Nate
Bargatze?
Yeah, Bargatze. Same way. Like Nate knows where he's walking you, and he's very confident in the funny where he's walking you.
Yeah.
And I enjoy watching those kind of guys in this day and age.
No, 100%. And you asked me how I got good. It's just from doing any comic will tell you, just doing the open mic. I mean, I was doing like 15 open mics a week, doing the bar shows, doing all these, doing the black rooms, the black circuit. And I don't know how much you know about those in New York.
What is the difference as a white comic, being in front of an all black crowd in, let's say, the city or the South, or being in front of more of Trump supporters?
That's weird. That's an interesting question because I can't think of like times I guess maybe I have been in front of Trump supporters and didn't know it.
Oh yes, you
but
have.
Like, yeah, I mean, but I would say, I mean, I will say like an older white crowd can be a lot tougher than any crowd. Yeah, if that's what they are. I didn't know. I mean, maybe when I'm at the, at
Joseph
the orange.
Feel like Adam. He's like, oh wait.
He's like, you're not gonna get that name to come out of my mouth. It's not gonna happen. Nope.
I didn't. Here's it. No, I don't really do politics in my comedy, so I guess I don't even know what the crowd is into. But I guess if you're if you're at the Orange County Improv, yeah, you're probably some Trump supporters. But they're probably younger Trump supporters are probably better laughers, if I had to guess. I could be wrong, because they'll just laugh at some crazy shit.
I didn't say Trump supporters didn't know comedy. I just asked how does their appreciation for comedy affect your set.
Yes, I don't. I think.
I don't want to say it again. I didn't say Trump supporters didn't know comedy. I just asked how does their appreciation for comedy affect your set.
I think Trump supporters definitely don't get my sneakers, and they definitely don't understand my.
These are great sneakers you're wearing today. You're on fire today.
They don't understand.
Both of you guys.
This is the all about. Well, he's killing me today.
These are.
They're pretty dope. By the way, he called me the Tangent King before. But
I got off it quick. I didn't stay on it for 10 minutes.
What did I do for 10 minutes?
You said sneakers and you're wearing the whitest North Carolina Jays I've seen in like 10 years.
Thank you. Someone bought this for me, actually. A friend of mine in Vancouver.
Okay.
Good friend of mine.
That's a good friend, right there.
Very good friend. We met in Toronto. Here's another tangent. During a filming of an Adam Sandler movie, and now we're friends, and he bought me sneakers.
All right.
And I like him. And I bought him sushi in return. I'm a good friend.
All right.
That's just a side note.
Sushi in Canada?
Yes.
So is the same price as the sneakers?
It was. That's funny you say that.
Yeah.
I was literally like, fuck, he's going to get the money right back.
'Cause that's expensive to get the fish.
But what were we saying? But I appreciate the compliment on the sneakers.
No, I asked the question that I asked was how does a black crowd, in the city or the South affect your set versus older white people in the OC?
It's weird. I feel like because my comedy is very, I don't want to say like particular, but I know those audiences like different things, so I will adjust the type of material I do. Whereas I notice like a black audience doesn't love me talking about my dick or talking about jerking off to porn. They're not like loving that kind of stuff. I've always noticed that with a black crowd. They're not into that. So I go into more stuff about my family, parents, my street basketball background, whatever. I'm not doing it for that crowd. I'm just going into certain material that I think would like that. So I'm not like making up shit just because they're there. But also, as being a white comedian, if you're in front of an all-black crowd and you're confident and good, they will give it up for you more, and then they're, like, on board with everything.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas, like, okay, if you want to say, like, whatever a Trump crowd would be like, I think they're more – I think I can dive into more stuff. They might not really get, like, my background. They might be a little bit more confused by it, but they can kind of go with whatever. I can talk about, porn and anything and, masturbation habits, pulling out, depending on where the girl's from, city-wise, all those kind of jokes.
You just lost this room with those that material, right?
Oh, no, those killed. That was one of your favorite jokes.
Yes, the Hawaii one?
Oh, yeah, that's one of your
that's
favorites.
One of my favorite
jokes. That's different.
That's what I was saying.
That was really funny.
But that wasn't...
I was just...
it's weird when you say it in that context, because I know you just came
yeah, well... Yeah, I have a joke about how I can't remember the joke exactly, but it was something about how
Don't
I only
don't even paraphrase it. Just pull it up.
I usually pull out based on the city the girl lives in. Because I was hooking up with a girl that was like, I live in California, and she lived in Detroit, and I was like, oh, I don't want to come back there in February. I'm like, it's freezing, not the best city in the world, you know? I'm just like, ah. But then I was hooking up with a girl, you know, that lived in Hawaii, and she next day came, and she's like, oh, should I take the Plan B pill? And I was like, do what you feel, you know? I'm like, if I gotta come back in February, 85 degrees, and be a good dad, you know what I mean? I'll surf with the little bastard, you know?
I say this guy's comedy special is largely the reason I'm here, apart from the fact that we love basketball.
Is the special? Is that the reason?
Yeah, because your special was fire. And I'm just going to be real. I felt like your comedy special was fire. And I felt like if you were more famous in this day and age, your comedy special would be everywhere. And it's just unfortunate that in this day and age that it matters more to be famous than it matters to be good. And you edited the shit out of that special. And I'm like, I watched that special on my couch like it was a Hulu special or a Netflix special. And the way it's cut and the pacing of the jokes, everything, I was like, this is top notch. This should be on Netflix. But we got to get you famous. You ain't famous.
Yeah.
This is literally how like
I agree.
we became kind of like more friends, because you sent me the special
Yes, yeah.
when I was sick, and then I watched it, and then I gave
Yeah.
you like a full breakdown. It was
Yes,
like,
yes.
boom, 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 and I was like, this is really good.
I figured if I couldn't put it out, I would just send it to everyone individually.
It's kind of, whether you realize it or not, your special has really kind of turned into like your resume.
No, that is true. I have shown it to a lot of people because I think in conversation I'm a little bit more reserved, or if people know me.
Talking to you casually, Joseph, nobody's going to think that you're a stand-up.
Yeah, I think if you know me maybe a little bit better, but I think yes, you're right. I think that's an accurate statement.
I know you have the gift of assembly.
Yeah, I
and
like to
editing.
prepare and write, and that's kind of how I do it. I'm not a guy that's going to go on stage and just start improvising and going off stuff. I need to be prepared, know what I'm going to say. But the special, unfortunately the streamers passed on it, but I'm going to put it out on YouTube in the summer, like at the end of July or something like that.
Special on YouTube.
So we're going to put that out.
I brought it up not to clown, but to educate. Because I'm like, we kind of have in this microwave society now, this instant gratification society that we live in, this idea that we lose sight of people working for things over time and things not working out over time, and it taking a while. I mean, I know this is your guy, but like I love Andrew Schultz's journey to Netflix,
right?
Because they gave him a hard time.
Yeah.
He had to buy it back. There's a whole lot of drama.
I think that was with Amazon originally. I think that's what I heard.
I don't know I don't know the complete details. I haven't spoken to Andrew in a while, but I don't know the complete details. I just know that his road to a Netflix special was bumpy. It wasn't like they just opened the vault and said, "Run around, take what you want, and you're a huge star." No. Right. So it was like when I see somebody that has. I'm fortunate enough to see the early gestation period of their specials. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, you got it. Like, it's not on Hulu today, but mark your calendars. We're doing this podcast today. Yeah. I don't know whether it's going to be 4 years, 5 years, or whatever, but you got the goods. You're going to do specials that people are going to see on streamers, and I believe
appreciate it. I mean, and also I come from the school of trying to make the specials. You've seen it, and you guys have all seen it, but like making it feel more like an event and more like a special, so something different, something fresh. I feel like, that's why like Neil Brennan did it with, 3 mics or blocks, like where he did something that felt a little different than just watching a comedian in 1 hour set, because we've seen specials so many times. But yeah, I have not gotten used to this new age of like putting out the clips, and that's what I'm going to start to do and doing all this stuff. But it is weird that bringing it back to 2011, I was filming sketches when it was a little bit harder. I was putting it out on my YouTube channel. I was doing a podcast, but this wasn't really what the world was now. And then I kind of went to films, started working on Adam Sandler's movies, writing jokes, and which has been like the best. But now bringing it back to like stand up, I'm like, okay, now I got to go back into this world and adapt.
It's surreal to do things that are kind of ahead of its time. And sometimes it can be deflating to your confidence to have done something that was ahead of its time and it just wasn't appreciated as much as maybe you thought it should have been. Yeah. I know I did something that in my mind, I wrote about it in my book, and to this day, I'm still in awe that I did it. And I live with a lot of regret that I just wasn't able to raise enough money to do it bigger. But I literally, quite literally, walked a series onto Hulu.
Yes.
Off the streets. Like I
remember that.
I figured I talk about it in my book, and I'll just say it briefly here though. But I figured out through research that Hulu was not owned by any of the networks. The networks were basically just participating in a profit share arrangement with Hulu. Hulu was owned by a venture capitalist firm in, I think, Rhode Island or something. It was very obscure. It was wild. And they basically said, hey, listen, you give us your content, NBC, ABC, Fox, and we'll do a rev share with you guys. And, with against digital ads. And so they all the networks hadn't figured out what digital was going to mean. And the amount of money that they were willing to pay was way greater than YouTube. So we're like, all right, let's give this a shot. So they kind of just took all of their content and then created this thing called Hulu. And I'm leaning forward watching this happen going, I was like, I literally was like, you guys are digital HBO. Like, you don't even know it yet.
Yeah.
And so I shot these web series. Web series were blowing up at the time. And I remember the Kenny Mayne show was one that I really liked because they discovered Aubrey Plaza. And Aubrey Plaza was nobody then. She was just, again, a girl that I saw, and I was like, you are funny.
This is before her and Funny People?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes,
her.
right? And so, like, we're talking 2009, 2010, right? And so I was like, man, she's funny. And they would surround Kenny Mayne, this very dry sportscaster, with all of these really funny people. And so I wanted to shoot a web series. I said, oh, this is going to be it. This is going to be it. Everybody's going to start making web series. And then if your web series is funny enough, then you get to have an actual series at 30 minutes. This is it. All right. And so I wrote my web series, and it was called Fake It Till You Make It. And so we were done making it. Actually, back up for 1 second. I said, I have to have a great comedy director. And so I contacted the dude who created the Kenny Mayne show. And just on email, we just clicked. And I interviewed kind of a couple of directors, but he was just on another level in terms of just our ability to connect with each other. And I said, dude, I will fly you out. I'll pay you. I just want you to, help with my rewrites and direct 8 webisodes. Flew him out. One of the most helter-skelter weeks of my life because my daughter was like a newborn. So I was like dealing with stuff at home too. And I'm like being a real independent Robert Townsend Hollywood shuffle producer, begging, borrowing, putting out orange cones in front of cars to just trick people into thinking that this was our area to park.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm doing it, man. And they came out fantastic. And I only put 3 on YouTube.
Right.
And then I made a U-turn on freaking Olympic, and I just pulled into Hulu's offices. And I just walked into their office, and I was like, hey, is there somebody here who's in charge of original content? Mexican dude, cool cat, security guard was like, I know you. Yeah, I'll go see if there's somebody back there for you, Holmes.
That's so amazing.
He walked in
just off the street.
And he walks in the back. He comes out, this guy, Rob. I won't say his last name.
Yeah.
He comes out with this guy, Rob, and Rob's like, oh, I know you. Everybody's giving me the I know you, so that's getting me past security. And then and I said, hey, I just shot this web series, man, and I know you guys are not owned by the networks. I'd love to be able to, strike a deal with you guys. And he was like, we're not YouTube. And I was like, no, it's shot better than that. That's why I don't want to just put it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Not understanding YouTube is still going to gobble up everything in the future. And he said, all right, come back next week. And I screened it for him. And he said, dude, I'll put that up for you tomorrow. And he put me on the masthead and everything. Like when you go to Hulu right now and you see all their options, he put my face up there. He put the artwork that we gave him, everything. And I think he got in trouble.
Wow.
Actually,
Yeah.
Because he extended the business model to someone who was famous.
Right.
And someone who had the material that made his office laugh. And it cost him no money.
Yeah.
But he was not playing the snob game of Hollywood.
Right.
And I think he got, I just later heard, and I'm so grateful for what he did, because I had a back frame that allowed me to see the view-throughs and the demographics of the people who were appreciating the show, loving the show. This was when Hulu had comments. So
wow.
So there was actually, you could leave comments on Hulu at this point when you watch something on the material that you watch. So I was just reading the comments, people wanting more of it, but they gobbled up my stuff so fast, they gobbled it up like it was Skittles. And so I knew how much effort had gone into making this. And they were like, dude, where's the next date? And it was like, oh, what do you like? That's going to take some time.
Right.
And I don't know, if you read my book if you want to know what happened later, but the bottom line was I had my own series on Hulu, and then when Disney bought them.
Yeah, it was like a YouTube channel almost at that
I
time.
literally had turned them into my own YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it was the most
So I see what you're saying.
it was the most amazing experience. And then when Disney bought them, they just erased any memory of this kind of stuff even happening.
Oh, wow.
And it was just like, And it's just this weird thing. It's like, it may not mean a lot to a lot of other people, but, you know, a lot of what we want to do is about timing in life. It's more about timing than it is about somebody being more talented than this person or whatnot. And I mean, I was legit like 12, 13, 14 years ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And my fame just kind of got me into the door. It's one of the things I'm most proud of having made, to be quite honest. We shot that whole thing for $50,000.
Well, you
ended
know,
up on Hulu.
I've never used. I mean, I would consider yourself an artist, and I would never have considered myself an artist till I started making stuff, and I was just happy that I made it.
You were very much an artist.
Yeah, so like I never would think of myself as that. I would never, you know, because I'm like, oh, obviously I want as many people to see it as I can, but I have gotten a lot of satisfaction, even when I've shot stuff, even if it didn't do well. Like there were some sketches I put on the internet at the time that got 2.5 million views. This is going back a while, and I remember I got 5,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I remember a comedian saying,
"Where did those subscribers go?"
They're still there, and
Still got 'em.
they're a little disappointed right now. They haven't gotten anything in a while.
No shit.
So, but this
There's
was
our
in
content.
this was in like now this might have been, maybe it was 2013. I don't know the years, but some comedian said to me, "Oh, you know, that's pretty good. You got 5,000 subscribers." This is going back a while back, and I was like, I literally said to him, "What am I gonna do with that?" That's what I said.
Wow.
And again, I'm going to start re-releasing these stuff, like just putting it back out so people can see. But like, yeah, I had a video that 2.5 million. I did a video, another video, 800,000 hits. I was like, okay. Then I did a video where I acted with your boy Andrew Schultz and Charlemagne, over 1 million hits. That was their video. I just acted in it. But like, I thought it was cool, and I was happy to be doing it, but I didn't see, well, how is that going to translate to something that I need to get? I said, you know, my dream was to write for Adam Sandler and Happy Madison when I first started. That from high school, that was my number one thing.
But that's awesome. You did that.
And I did that.
Manifested
So that was my goal, and I honestly, like everything after that, I was like, now what else am I interested in? And I was enjoying doing stand-up. I did enjoy just going to the Irvine Improv, doing a set. I'd be super happy. I wasn't concerned about clips. I was like, oh, this is great. I go write on this movie. I go do a set at the Improv. I'm like, this is the best. But then as I started to see the game change a little bit, I was like, oh, I really want to do a special. And that's what I did. But then as I found out, I was like, oh, wait, stuff has changed. I can't just put out this special the way I used to or sell it. I was like, oh, I need the followers. I need, you know, and that's what they basically told me. They were like, this is a great special. Everyone watched it, from Ted Sarandos at Netflix. I mean, everyone has seen this special. Like,
Oh, I know.
a lot of people have seen it. It's like
the-
folklore at this point. It's a myth.
It's the most viewed special that you haven't been paid for.
It's the most viewed special. I know. Someone used to call my podcast the best podcast you never heard of. Like, I am the king of like sort of having an underexposed like stuff, and
Like, people just don't realize how many people you know. Exactly.
it's, by the way,
celebrity
this is
adjacent
how
life.
dumb I was too when I was doing my podcast. Tom Green, who I said at the beginning, kind of started this podcast game with the video. He reached out to me to be on the podcast, and we did it. Great interview. But I didn't understand that, like, you would think I would have been like, wait, maybe there's something here. Maybe I need to explore this. But after 100 episodes, I was like, I said, I'm done. You know, I think my final episode was like randomly TK Kirkland. Like, I had every kind of person on, guys might not know all the different names, but like it's a weird group. Like I had Larry Moss, who is, if people in the industry know, is one of the greatest acting coaches. He coaches Leo. He's coached everybody. He did the podcast. I had Romany Malco. I had porn star Lisa Ann. I had
you gotta go find all this stuff and upload it on your own time.
Yes, I'm gonna put it out.
I got a question for you though. Who do you think are the top white comedians that are beloved by black audiences?
Oh, that's a great. What a good. You said top 5 that
No,
white
not
comedians
even- not
that
even
are
that. You
beloved by black.
You don't have to put a
audiences.
number on it. Just who are the top white comedians that are beloved by black audiences? I mean, the one that just jumps out is Gary Owens for me.
Right. Yeah. I was gonna. He first.
But other than Gary Owens, like, who is just freaking ballsy
So he's a
and
white
confident
comic that
in front of black audiences?
that black audiences love. That is like a really like great question, because obviously the reverse is pretty easy, but I can't.
What's the reverse?
Well, I'm just saying, like, if you thought about I feel like white audiences liking black, like that's not even like everyone loves.
Yeah, most white audiences are gonna say Chris Rock right off the bat. They're gonna just
But
Dave
that's
Chappelle.
a great.
Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Bill Burr got street cred with black folk.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill Burr's a good one. But yeah,
Ask
like,
Chloe.
who's-
Chloe,
White comedians that are popular with black audiences.
what white comedians have hella street cred with black audiences? It's just something for you to look
I
up.
feel like, yeah. I mean, I could look it up, but also I feel
Remember,
like.
I gotta ask Chloe.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I gotta
And
ask
you're
Chloe.
talking about like pure stand-ups.
Oh, I mean like pure stand up.
Yeah, that's a
Because
great
I feel like
question.
this whole conversation has been more about stand up and
Yeah.
being ahead of your time. And
No, you're right. That's a
and-
good
and-
question. That's tough to think about. Like who?
It's
really
just something
like,
I really respect out of a white comedian, because you don't need it.
Who don't
A white
need it?
comedian doesn't need it. A black comedian is going to eventually have to get in front of a white audience
I see.
if he wants a broader audience.
Okay, Gary Owens.
But a white comedian can effectively avoid black folks if he wants to for his entire career.
Right. Yeah.
And you got to want it. You got to want to be like, I'm going into that room because I know that if I can make that room go, I'm growing. It's almost like hooping at a black park.
Yeah.
So I know you can relate to that because you're a hooper.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where it's just
I
like
always-
there's a certain white guy that enjoys the thrill of
Yeah.
being the white guy at a black park, and they don't know.
Yeah.
They
I just saw
don't-
you pull up my man Jason Andors. He's hilarious. He's great with.
And I like that kind of white guy,
Yeah.
and I can spot him stepping onto the court too.
Oh yeah. Although you didn't spot me right away.
No, I didn't spot you. I didn't spot.
Wait,
it took me a
but-
couple dribbles. It only took me a couple dribbles.
Wait, but okay.
I didn't
so
spot you on gear, but it was a couple
can
dribbles.
let me ask you a question because we talked about this before. Why do you think, have I noticed, why do black audiences, why don't they like certain material, like I was saying before? They get a little uncomfortable and don't love that type of stuff. Whereas a white audience, I feel like I can talk a little bit more raunchy and gross. Black audiences don't love, if I'm talking about, like if I have a masturbation joke, I can tell black audience, they don't always, that's not their favorite bit.
Just straight off rip, like masturbation is hard to make funny. Like just
But
the
they-
word,
but they-
it's just
but-
too many syllables.
right, but
It's
that-
just too many. It's just hard. Like it's just hard to make fun. Like as soon as you even said masturbation, I'm like, ooh.
Well, that's like a very technical word.
I know.
But I'm not saying that's how I say it, but I'm just saying they don't even forget what word, substitute any
I
word,
know.
jerking off,
But
whacking it, pounding it, taking it home.
But
you know?
so many words.
But it's. I think what it is, it's a cultural thing.
Right.
Like you can talk about it, but if you talk about it with technicals like you throwing out, words with big syllables and just making it sound creepy, like you're gonna lose them fast. You know what I'm
But
saying?
I think they think even me just bringing it up is creepy. They even think, no matter which way I would say it.
like
they're
there's
not
certain
even
things that are
as-
not. There's certain things that are inherently not funny.
Right.
Cancer's not funny.
Sure. But people do people
masturbation. As soon as you even say that, I'm just like, oh, it's creepy, right? Even though everybody does it to some degree,
to
but
some degree.
it's creepy.
Can I ask you a question? Again, I know you're part of the black community, so it might make
Yeah,
you
I hope
clam
so.
up. But Why can't people just talk about that in conversation?
Nah, I'm not here to do the theory shit.
No, I'm just saying. Okay, but can I just say I've always been confused why it is weird, being that everybody does do it. You've said that you can't, like, I can't be talking to Skylar.
Nah, because the game is read the room. That's the game. The game is it's not about what you want to talk about or why can't you. Like, there's certain things, like, people got to start to understand, especially in this profession, especially when it comes to comedy. I'm not writing you off. I'm setting it straight. I'm saying there are double standards. That's period. If I go into an OC crowd of older white people, there are double standards in that room. Right. And I got to be able to figure out those double standards to get to the level of comedy. To get to the level of comedy that they're.
No, that's on stage,
right?
On stage. I'm saying if I'm
with a black crowd. Right. You walk in, there's gonna be even more double standards. It's gonna be even more, believe it or not, where it was like you're automatically walking in with strikes against you, with you taking the stage. The assumption is gonna be like, you don't know our culture.
That's true.
So immediately you have to let a black crowd will try to intimidate you if they don't like your look.
Yeah.
And that you don't even have to be.
I once got booed from my intro.
I believe that. There
I got booed off.
A black crowd
they wanted me off.
Listen,
I didn't even say anything.
I didn't even say anything. Now we
by the way, the host. Don't worry, we're gonna get back to my theory. But I haven't.
I don't want to get back to your theory. I am.
I'm gonna go to this, and guess what? I'm coming back. That's what I do.
Cut that shit out. He goes back to his theory.
I'm gonna go
back to the theory.
I want to know why the black crowd booed you on intro, and I want to know why I'm gonna tell you why I know black people will intimidate you. Just if they don't like your look and you taking the stage.
I'll say it. So 90% of the time, if I did a black room, I did pretty well. I knew how to open it. I knew what to say. I would do some crowd stuff. I might insult the room, which they enjoyed. They kind of enjoyed the
Bernie Mac has one of the most legendary openings.
Definitely.
I just have to throw this in for education.
Yes,
and you can edit how you want. But he has one of the greatest openings of all time. And it was a Def Jam. When he comes out and he says, I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. And he'll hit a joke and he'll come right back to it. I ain't scared of you, motherfucker.
And you know, I just learned something about that. Do you know the backstory?
Oh, I know the backstory about it. I'm about to share.
I had just learned that.
The backstory of it was dope. Is that the comedian before him had just bombed. I mean, just sold out.
It was me.
And so it was like, Bernie was like, I gotta follow this clown. And Bernie was a seasoned comedian, so he actually made that up on the spot. To go out there and damn near insult these brothers and let them know, like, yo, I belong on your block. I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. And if you notice it, he says it, he does a joke. He says it again, he does a joke. He does it about 4 times. By the time he says, I ain't scared of you motherfuckers for the 4th time, black folks are on their feet. Like, hey, he like that's literally that's the basketball equivalent of just coming out and just jaying from the free throw, jaying from the 3-point line. Jaying from the hash mark 3 times in a row. I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. Nobody can guard me out here. You're going to have people shutting down games to come see you play.
Yeah.
And that's just the way you work a black crowd is you have to let them know quick, I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.
I used to literally come out and say, because by the way, the black show, Jaleel, did usually start late. And I used to come out and I used to say, I used to literally, my first line would go, I would say, I want to compliment the show for only starting an hour late, but I just realized this is last Friday's show. That's what I would say. And that right there would break the tension. They were like, oh, he's not scared.
Because they want to know, do you know our culture?
Yes.
It's like if you're a stand-up and you're not black, but you're going in front of a black crowd.
Yeah.
Black folks, they're going to judge you on your look. They're going to see your gear, your fit, okay? Yeah. However you put yourself together. And then immediately you have 30 seconds to 60 seconds
100%.
To let them know that you're familiar enough with our culture to have the nerve to stand up in front of us and think you can say something that's going to be funny.
I got 2 still good quick stories. So 90% of the time it would go well. Even in my early days, because I did sort of know, I did actually feel more comfortable in my early days in front of a black crowd more than a white crowd.
I could see that, because I know you.
Yeah, I felt better. So the crowd that booed me, though, off of intro was I was the second comic to come up. As soon as I started talking, I didn't even get out the punchline. I didn't even bomb. I did not bomb. I didn't even couldn't say the lines. They were just God, get off. I remember one guy said, this ain't a high school play. They just wanted me off. To the point where the host came back on, which great guy, and he was funny, but it made it worse, of course, because he was like, yo, stop. This is my man. Hold on. And he's like, here, get off.
He had to vouch.
He had to say, and he tells me to walk off, right? He goes, I'm going to reintroduce him. And he goes, I want y'all to, whatever. So he I'm standing there, reintroduces me. Come back on. Get the fuck off. They didn't even. Then I remember trying.
What were you wearing? Because I know
it
you
wasn't. It wasn't any.
Nah, come on, Joseph. I know
it
you.
had nothing to do with clothes. I was in my normal what I don't even remember what I was wearing back then. I think actually back in early on comedy, I tried to fit in a little more. So I was just wearing like regular jeans, maybe a hoodie. Like it wasn't anything that you'd be like, oh shit, he's wearing something.
Your sneakers, you didn't have no J's on, and what were you wearing?
I couldn't probably afford Jordans then, so I wasn't wearing anything.
You had generic shoes, okay?
Yeah, maybe that was it, but I don't think so.
Your hair. I'm just trying to picture.
No,
like,
I promise you, I would tell you if there was something like crazy that was going on. But no, I just got. Luckily, the hostess.
They just didn't like your face.
They didn't like my face. The hostess, though, there was this Spanish hostess that didn't see the crowd boo me, and I was still able to get her number on the way out. So it wasn't a total loss that night.
Pity pussy.
She didn't even know. She didn't know. Had she known and seen what happened, she would have never done that. But then there was another show I used to do, and I remember I'd done it a couple times, and. The host, it was at a restaurant. So it's a restaurant. It's not like a club, right? And everyone's just kind of crowded
tougher.
around.
That's kind of
very tough. Well, the black shows usually are not in like traditional clubs. Most of the ones we did. So they were always in a tougher environment. And I remember the host got up there. I'll never forget this. And he goes, yo, I just want to say something before I, bring the comics up. We don't boo here. And I remember sitting in the back going, all right, that's
Can't
good.
tell black people what to do.
He goes. No, wait till you see where this is going though. No, you don't even know.
We don't boo means we boo.
Yeah, so he goes, we don't boo, but this is a black host, so it's his room, so he controls it. So I'm thinking, all right, he's setting up the room good because now at the very least they have to listen. No one's gonna say anything. And he goes, we don't boo here. And I remember thinking, yeah. He goes, we shake keys. And I remember going. What the fuck? We shake keys. I go, because now it seems like you're enticing the crowd to want to do something. Now it seems like they're
fun. I want to shake keys.
So I was like,
that's
what
funny.
the fuck? And I was just like,
so what happened? Come on.
So I go up there. I don't remember the comedic before me. He lasted about 5 minutes. Everyone's keys jingling. They put the keys on there. Like they brought it out. They were ready. And just, house keys, car keys, whatever they could find, they were jingling. And I was supposed to do 20 minutes. I do remember, I'll be honest, I lasted about, I want to say 12 to 15. I was doing pretty well.
And then some keys came out.
And then the keys came out. I think I remember, and I do remember a lady, I started to do some crowd work with her. And she looked at me and she was like, I am not the one, honey. I am not the one. And I was like, and I believed she was not the one. I backed off quickly. I believed whatever energy she was putting out. And then the keys came out. And
let's go.
And I remember a comic after me, really hilarious dude, Nathan McIntosh. You guys can check his stuff out. Super, super funny Canadian comic. I remember he went on after me and he had the great idea. He took out his keys first and said, I'm doing it to you.
Yeah.
This is what I think
and
of
they
you.
Probably loved
Oh,
it.
they loved it.
They loved it.
I'm not afraid of you.
So
like,
that's
back.
what it was. Yeah. And Nathan always knew how to do quick little things like that. He's a hilarious dude.
The thing about comedy that I appreciate the most though is that there is a formula to it. There is a time-tested art to it. So we're discussing it with our own personal experiences. I'm not afraid of you motherfuckers versus the keys, but the tactic was the same. The tactic was to control the audience right from the get-go.
Right.
And to also give the audience, to acknowledge the audience's power and to say, but to let them know how confident you were within their power. Does that make sense?
Of course,
it's like to say I ain't scared of you motherfuckers is to acknowledge that somebody should be scared of you motherfuckers.
right, that's true.
Yeah.
I'm just not the one that's scared of you motherfuckers.
That's true.
It's layered in what's happening there in the interaction with the crowd. And I love dissecting that. I really,
Yeah.
I really do.
Well,
And
it's
there's
really
there's
psychological.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's a lot of I mean, comedy's about environment. You know, when someone asked me wants to do stand up at a birthday party when I didn't know any better, I said yes. And what I realized is, oh my God, no, it's not gonna go well.
No.
They had me out at the buffet table. I'm in front of the buffet table with a microphone. I'm next to like hot food and shit. I thought it was gonna be in a ballroom, but either way, it would have failed. I was 6 months into comedy. I'm in Florida, probably some Trump supporters. This is going back some ways. I don't know. But I'm in Florida. I'm doing stand in front of the buffet table. Oh, my God. Everyone was standing around me like I was giving a toast.
Oh.
And when now that was one of my worst spots. When I tell you the silence.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question, too. Was the buffet open yet?
It was open. I think people were eating. People had food in their hands.
So you were just in the way of people's food.
It
is
was,
never-
and they were not. They were not
Never.
they weren't expecting stand up. They didn't want it. I remember a guy.
So if I wanted a plate while you were doing your stand up and I wanted to go
Sorry,
and get some
excuse me.
food,
You
I
could
had
come
to-
around, yeah. You could make your way though. I wasn't completely blocking it, but yeah, you could grab a plate. You know what was bad, dude? I had played basketball with a guy earlier that day, and we were like, "Hey, dude, all friendly and shit." When I was up there and I locked eyes with him, and he saw how bad I was bombing, he didn't give me no eye contact. He wouldn't even look at me, and I was like, "Damn!" Like, and there was only I do remember there was only 2 black people in this whole room. And I remember I started a joke. I had like a race joke about difference between white people on the street and black people on the street. And I remember turning and seeing a black dude in the corner just going. He was, I mean, it was
You're like,
disappointment. I remember I did like 8 minutes. I was drenched in sweat like I had come out of the rain. Like I had come out of the rain.
Caught in the rain.
I was wet from my back. You couldn't believe how soaked I was. You would think it was like a medical issue. I left the birthday party. I didn't come back. I couldn't come back. And I remember years later, after I started working on Sandler's movies and started doing stand-up better, I saw someone from the party, this guy named Mark Walsh, who owns hotels in Florida, and he had actually owned that hotel that I was in. He saw me, and he was like, "Hey, what's up?" I told him what I was doing, and he was really like happy and proud. And he said, "I knew if you could get through that," he said, "this guy could get through anything." He's like, "If you can survive that." No one's forgotten this. By the way, we should ask, there actually might be video somewhere.
Oh.
And I mean, I would
Video.
literally probably crawl up in like
Chloe?
a space.
Do what you
It's
do.
not online, but someone might have it. And that was my worst bomb. I'd say my other worst bomb was at Caroline's.
New York.
Which was one of the best clubs
Yeah,
ever.
that's tough.
That became like one of my home clubs. Loved Caroline's, but went there as a kid. But I just remember, early on going to Caroline's.
How old were you when you bombed at Caroline's?
I guess like 21. You know?
That's young.
Yeah, it was an early show. It was what you call a bringer show. Do you know what a bringer show is?
What's a bringer show?
Where you have to invite your friends in order to get stage time. So this was like, again, 8 months into comedy, came up there. You know, your material's not that good. You don't know what you're doing. I really, you're just still trying to figure it out. And bombing in front of your friends, all sitting at one table. It's a horrible experience. But if you can, that's the thing with stand-ups. Anyone out there who goes through these things, if you can get through those, like you said, you went through, 3 minutes of like horror. If you can get through those
was
and
bad.
get back on stage, it gets you better and better.
I
It's like-
realized that's one. When I was younger in my early 20s, I did realize I couldn't be with an artist unless they were great. I realized that was.
What if they were just coming up though, like in
Nah,
try?
I love that you asked me that. Because I met this young lady in West Hollywood, and it was one of those. It was one of those rare ones, Skylar's at the age where he's collecting them now, the ones that you just will always remember on sight. Her at the corner of Melrose and this and that, right?
Yeah.
And she was a banger, man. And I had to introduce myself quick, and she was like, "Yo, I asked her out to dinner, or whatever. She was playing kind of coy, and but I wanted to get to know her, like, and she said she was a singer, and I was like, fuck, because I knew she was so beautiful. I said, if she can't sing, you can't be with her, like you can't even hook up with her, because it's just all bad.
Yeah.
I
would
can
be
only
it.
be with a singer if they were a good singer, because otherwise you're going to spend a lifetime trying to convince this chick that she can fucking sing, and it's just all bad. So she said she was a singer, and I said, you're a singer? I went right at it like I was a freaking talent agent. I was like, when are you singing next? I want to see you. And she's like, you're just joking. You know, she's just used to guys coming up to her. It was like, she didn't get it. In that moment, I was so hooked on her looks. I was like, if you can sing, we are on. Like, I just need to know if you can sing, though.
Yeah.
And so I was like, she was like, oh, well, you know, I'll be singing at so-and-so. Actually, an open mic. I think it was a bringer situation.
Right.
Where it was a place with open mic, a little club in Hollywood where she was asked to bring her friends. So there used to be a club called Republic on La Cienega.
Republican?
Yeah, no, Republic.
Oh, okay.
Republican.
I was just confused. I didn't know.
No, I set you up for that. Yeah, I set you up. It was a good joke. It was a good joke. But Republic, it was right across from the gate, and my boy owned Republic, and so I would go over there sometimes before they'd even open up. We'd just be chilling in the back, and I was like, "Yo, I gotta go around the corner. Actually, it's not far from me. I need to see this chick sing." He's like, "What?" It's like, "Yeah, no, I met this one dog. You gonna see? She a banger, but like." She apparently sings, and she's singing at a spot right around the corner. I was like, before his club opened up, I was like, you want to come with me? I just want to check it out. He's like, all right. So we hop in my car. We drive on over there. And as soon as I walked up, the lady recognized me that was seating people. And she was like, oh, do you want to sit up? And I knew. I said, do not sit me in the front. Like,
yeah,
do
of course,
not sit me in the front. Because if you sit me in the front, I'm stuck. And I can't get up out of here if this girl is terrible.
God.
And so instead, I was like, no, I'm cool. I'm just get a drink by the bar. So he and I just intentionally kicked it by the bar. And then I saw her, and she had all of her friends all up in the front. And I was kind of hiding, actually. I didn't want her to know I was there. I thought it would have been a little more romantic or whatever for me to be like, yo, I saw you sing. I like this part, and just, and just text her. And but she caught me out of the glimpse of her eye, corner of her eye, and she came up to me, and she's just like, oh my God, I can't believe you really came. Now I'm seeing a little bit of humility out of her for 5 seconds now that I actually came. And I was like, yeah, you told me you sang. I want to see what you can do. And then she starts complaining about the acoustics and the setup. And I got worried right off that. She's like, my sound check was terrible, and the sound here, it's no good, and this and that. And it was like, I said, baby, nobody concerned about any of that stuff. Like, if you can sing, just sing. Just you got to find one note. I'm like giving her advice now at this point. I was like, find that one note that you can hit, and you hit that mofo. Like, we here, do your thing. I'm trying to encourage her. All right, cool. Man, she goes up, man. She jumps on that mic. It was like 9 cats jumped out of this chick's freaking out of this chick's mouth, bro.
God.
My boy looked at me. He had a drink in his hand, like, why did you make me leave my club? I had to like kind of grab him a little bit, like, no, just relax.
Oh my God.
This was horrible, and I know how to say horrible correctly. This was horrible. This was horrible. All right, and I remember just kind of slipping out quietly while she finished her set. And then she texted me, and now we're in the car headed back to his club. And I'm like, at this point now, I'm becoming a guy because I'm like, dang, I still want to hook up with her, but I can't be with her. So I'm like, she's like, where are you going? I was like, hey, bring all your friends back to my boy's club. We'll set you up and everything. And she's like, no, we're actually going someplace else. You should meet us.
Oh, wow.
This is bold of her.
Yeah, and I really was like, that was the last time I ever spoke to her. And I realized, I was like, she's untalented and she's bossy. And that's a terrible combination in Los Angeles.
And she's delusional.
Yeah, she's delulu.
Well, she's delulu.
Wow, I'm impressed with
of
your
Delulu
you're staying hip. Delulu,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah,
I don't know. There might be,
I'm trying to keep you young, Joseph.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's literally
it was
Jaleel
a
and I
thing.
keeping you young.
Yes, yeah, no. He knows more than I do. I'm not gonna lie about that.
I also have a 16-year-old daughter.
Yeah,
so,
that helps. But now, do you think if she was like, but more in between, like, let's say there was some potential, would that be different? Like if she came to you, let's just say a whole different stage. She's like, I'm taking singing lessons, actually trying to get better, and she's actually decent, not bad. Would that be better? Just the way, because I'm putting it more like if you were dating a stand-up, right? A stand-up, their material might not be great, but it could be. It's just not there yet. Those things exist, right?
Like if she came from a place of like humility, how would have that Because she came from the oh, I'm a singer.
Yeah,
And
no,
then you better sing.
I'm
Yeah, you should never call yourself unless you're getting paid. Like when people say I'm a comedian and they've done 2 open mics, that's incorrect.
Yeah.
Say I do stand up. I'm trying stand up. I'm doing stand up. You got to really be doing it for a certain amount of time before you call yourself
She ain't been
that
a model.
profession.
She ain't in Vogue. That one.
What is?
She ain't really a model unless she's in Vogue.
Oh,
What's that
right.
song?
Yeah, there's
What song is that?
I don't know what song that is, but I've heard that quote.
Confidence before ability is a turnoff.
Yeah. Now, but see, again, it's so interesting because you're right, because it can definitely hurt you. But then a lot of people who were confident.
But I think she was getting a lot of her confidence because of just when you
Men.
look like that in L.A., you're gonna get guys just flirting with you, hitting on you, every block. And
you don't get the real.
And she conflated that with the singing. That's why I said I couldn't be with a woman like that. I'm actually thrilled that I'm with a woman that's not in our industry, because it's a tough business. And
No, I agree.
And so I gotta see a nugget in you. I gotta see something,
Right.
a light.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Where it was just like, you got it. It might not be refined yet, but it's like, you got it. I met Doechii like 4 years ago, bro. And it was like at 2-Bit Circus downtown, and it was a private party that topped through for his new artist. She was fired in. Now, the A&R that I'm seeing now, the clothes, the body, all that wasn't all in place yet.
Right, but you saw something.
But dude, I saw one song out of her. She went up before Isaiah Rashad, and it was like, we all kicked it in the back and everything. It was like, I could see it.
Right.
Like, she got it. And I just feel like the internet sometimes can serve as noise, and you stop paying attention to the small it factors that make somebody that thing that you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? And
No, it makes sense.
That's why I'm so proud of when I've met anybody or seen anybody before they were the shiznit, because that's an old word. Before they were
That's
the
a real old one.
That's
Yeah.
real old word. Before they were
about
the
to say that she's all that in a bag
right?
of chips.
But it's like I'm so proud of that, because it's almost God letting me know I'm here because I'm supposed to be here, and interacting with these various people because I'm supposed to be here. And so when I see talent on that level, I don't care if it's Mo Amer, man. Like, I got to know Mo during the worst of pandemic. Now he's got his own show on Netflix, and he's everywhere.
Yeah.
He was opening for Dave.
Right.
But it was just like, Mo had a couple of nights, man, where Mo was killing in the cornfields of freaking Ohio.
But that's why I think stand-up is maybe so different from even like, because, singing, yes, you can improve.
But stand-up is kind of like singing.
Well, see, I guess why I don't think it's that way, because you could start doing stand-up and not be good. And you could get very, very good. I think if you ask most comics, there are some exceptions, of course, but I feel like if you ask most from like, I don't know, I'm just going to pull out names, but it would be different for everyone. But like Bill Burr, from his first show and this person's first show, I think most people you would find, they were like, yeah, I was pretty bad for a couple of years, where you might be like, holy shit, that's the same guy with the same material. I mean, I've also seen it firsthand.
No, I've watched stand-up. I've watched stand-ups improve.
But I'm talking about seeing someone from an open mic stage, like going back and seeing someone.
I disagree. I think even from an open mic stage, there's an it quality that somebody has. I'm telling you, even if I had seen you, but again, I have experience in the business. If I had seen you even at that damn buffet, the first issue I would have had is, why do y'all have this dude over the food?
Well, right, that was environment.
Like, why
I'm not. Look,
That was bad.
like, that's the first issue
here.
I would have had. Of why y'all got this dude over
here,
the food?
here, let me just take myself, right? Forget other people's examples. So when I was first starting out, you're right. I remember getting some laughs at open mics. I had some good lines here and there, but there was a lot of stuff that was just mismatched, didn't make any sense. Why am I doing these jokes? Whatever. There certain things and certain jokes just not good jokes. Doesn't make sense in a stand-up form. Whatever. There the many reasons why something didn't work. But you're right. From early on, I probably did better than most were doing, even though I would consider it still a bomb today, even if it was a set that was getting laughs. But I'm just saying from my own experience, from like doing those open mics, having some really tough sets, having some jokes that I'm like, oh geez, why was I doing that, to then going and doing getting on stage in front of 15,000 people
Oh,
who
yes.
are not there to see you. Let's just make that clear.
Oh, yeah.
No one there to see me. I'm the non-famous person on the lineup, and to get big, consistent laughs in a short set from that, just so people could see that you could really improve. I mean, if you took me from that year one to go do that, I would have fucking bombed my ass off and got damn near booed off the stage. I couldn't have done that year one, year
There are also
two.
two different art forms too. Performing in front of a large audience, a venue that seats 15,000, versus performing in a small room are two different things. The person I really love watching going back and forth is Dave Chappelle. In those, I love watching Dave work out something in the belly room and then go put it in front of an arena in the round in where the Timberwolves play, right?
Yeah.
And because first of all, you can only really see with the lighting the first few rows. After that, you're really working hard. You're working off of sound.
Yeah, of course.
And and I can hear him like shortening material and lengthening material based on sound.
Yes.
Do you think it's tougher in a small room, or do you think it's tougher in the round or in the big giant 15,000? I think it's way tougher. It's too different.
Yeah.
But I think it's tougher in the bigger.
It's a good question.
That 15,000, man, you out there alone.
I guess
when
if
it gets quiet in there,
yeah.
woo!
But I guess I think if they're all there to see you, it's so many different conversations, because if they're really there to see you, the chances of you, unless you're just not prepared at all, not doing well, it's like almost impossible. So I just think there to see you, and then also, if you're asking me what it's like to be an unknown comic doing a big room versus a small room, then I would say in some ways, actually, a big room is easier than a small room as an unknown. It could obviously the risk is higher, because if like I lose 15,000 people, I feel the nerves more. But I would say a smaller room is tougher. Honestly, can be sometimes that room is great, but there could be a lot of rooms that sometimes where you get like these kind of snobby kind of crowds in LA crowds.
LA is
Whereas
tough
if I
anyway.
go to, maybe it's just LA, but you go to Milwaukee and do an arena,
I guess I really-
people are fucking excited.
I really do know more about stand-up than I give myself credit for, too, because you don't even fuck with Carolines or L.A. until you've been to other places, and you got 5 tight minutes, and now you're trying to stretch that to 15.
Yeah, because so I think small rooms can be a little tougher. But again, when people are there to see you, I feel like then it's just a whole different ball game. You'd have to really suck. But I also think so much of this, right, is subjective, right? Because let's not also act like there's not comics who are on TV who do big rooms, and you watch some of the material and you go, that's not that great. But it's technically working. It's, they're not bombing. So I just think there is it's a little tough to judge sometimes.
Stand-up to me is
because there's some big comics that have questionable stuff.
Stand-up to me is a very it's a very athletic endeavor, because I don't care how big you are, you can still bomb. You can still have bad nights.
Yes.
So it's almost kind of like your favorite athlete, your favorite basketball player can come out and have an 0 for 9 shooting night. And it's like, yeah, they're a big name, but it's just not falling tonight. And I think that's the most humbling aspect of stand-up comedy that I respect. And it's not easy. It's even harder, I think, equating stand-up to athletics. It's even harder to age with grace and get better at your game. Because just like anything, the older you get, you typically get worse.
Right.
And it's with stand-up, you have to hear society changing.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
There's a lot of guys that are doing a lot of mansplaining humor, a lot of male-driven humor during a period of life that has been all about female empowerment. And that's, how do you get through that?
Yeah.
And still maintain your voice, but change enough with the times. It seems like this entire episode really has been about get to know Joseph.
Yeah,
and Joseph the comedian.
Yeah.
So where can people see you? if they want to
Well,
see you? Do you have any dates
so-
coming up soon? Do you
So
have?
here's the order of business as I adjust to society. It's almost like I've been frozen for 20 years and I'm coming out. But
You've been frozen in Adam Sandler's universe.
yes, which
for
has
20 years.
been one of the best.
Sandlerverse.
Which is
Sandlerverse.
yes, which is one of been the best universes ever. And I mean, that was my dream from the start. You know, when I first started, I didn't dream of being a stand-up comic. I didn't even think I was going to do it. A friend told me he was going to do it, and I said, "Oh, I'll write you some jokes." And he said, "No, you should get up there too." That's how it happened. Never thought about doing it in my life. So honestly, yes, after like achieving such a high goal and writing, you know, for Adam and being on the movies and doing all that, then I was like, okay, so what else am I going to shift to? Or just that became, you know, you get new goals or things that interest you. So I filmed this special. What I'm going to basically do is I'm going to start putting out clips from that are not from the special and start doing that like everyone else. And then I'm going to start re-releasing sketches, putting that on my YouTube channel. Maybe some stuff will come out on our channel. We got the podcast. And then I'm going to put the special out near Happy Gilmore 2 that I have a small part in. And was and I was a producer on the movie, wrote some jokes for it. So I'm going to put the special out near that on YouTube so people can see.
How we gonna wrap this
Well,
up, dog?
okay, you thought I was going to forget. You
Forget
thought
what-
I was going to
what are
forget.
you talking about?
My original point of my theory that I wanted to ask. You thought I was going to forget.
So serious.
But see, this is where I have a good memory. Can I act it out with you, or would you prefer
What are
go
you
to
up
Chloe?
to right now?
I'm not up to anything.
I know every time it comes time to end the podcast,
No,
you're
it
gonna do
well,
something weird.
well,
You're
it's
gonna do
not
something-
weird. First of all, I wanted to bring it up 30 minutes ago. You didn't allow me to, but I
Right.
also, well, two things. Wait, before
I
get
can just tell when you're gonna drive the car down the road that we don't want to go.
The keys and the ignition.
He's
No,
an
no.
artist.
He's
The
an
question.
He's an artist.
listen. Wait, before we get to that, can I just say one
You can
thing?
do whatever you want.
Well, it's a black-owned podcast. Can't do whatever I want. You know,
It
you
means-
own me.
No, it means I own the edit.
Yeah, so technically, say what you want,
Say what
but
you
I,
want.
but I got final cut. This
Flip
guy
it
is the
out.
Billy Walsh from Entourage. He's got final cut.
I don't believe in silencing people, you know.
I just believe the edit.
I just believe the edit.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I don't believe in censorship. I believe in the edit. That's hilarious.
We gotta make
That's
a sweatshirt with that.
that's
on
good
fire.
merch.
That's good merch.
But I will say, believe it or not, what I'm about to say is not the weird thing. That's going to come next. I did have an idea for my special that people do think, Jaleel, if you don't like this idea, they do think it's genius.
Okay.
I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but I wanted to. Being that the streamers passed, I have a joke in my special about how that porn companies should basically have syndicated TV shows on their porn sites, like Full House, whatever, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air,
No,
because
it's not gonna work.
well, I'm saying, can I just finish?
Yeah, but I don't. But you cross streams, yo. You went from syndicated TV shows to
Well, that's
family.
that's syndicated.
TV shows.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
and
no,
porn,
but-
and I just can't do
well,
that.
Well, I'm
can't
just
do
That's
well,
not gonna
I'm
work.
saying
Can't
Well,
do that.
Continue.
I'm saying well.
No, because some things we say here could end up on freaking Yahoo.com.
Oh,
And
all
I'm
right.
just like,
Okay,
I don't
so-
want it even
okay,
intimated that I want full
Okay, so
integrated with pornography
Okay, so-
online. I
okay.
just don't even want it.
But
Okay,
you
so
said
here-
that you wanted to put
I told
your
you he makes it weird at the
special-
end.
no,
of
no, hold on. Okay,
You said
wait.
you
This
wanted
is
to
I
put
do
your
this in a
special
joke,
on-
but
okay,
I'll
you
say
go.
here. Let me reframe it. I'll say they should have syndicated TV shows. I'll say like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Entourage. What's some other shows? Modern Family, whatever it is. I think they should have those because after you're done, the last thing you want to watch is porn. You know, once you're done servicing yourself, and so you
That's
want to watch
hilarious.
anything that's not porn. You're like, oh shit, because usually when you log out, you're like, hey, I'm gonna watch a TV show now. I'll watch House of Cards. You know, I'll watch Netflix, whatever, HBO.
Please
but
get to your point.
imagine if it was
Get Jaleel serious.
on the site, you'd be like, oh shit, I'll watch that right now. I don't even have to log out. So I have a whole, bit about that in my special. So what I really wanted to do was like, oh, if I sold my special to PornHub, I'd have the first stand-up special on one of these sites.
Do you have an
And
offer from Pornhub?
I haven't pitched them, but I was thinking like they would go for it. Because imagine if after somebody was done doing their thing, they're finished, and now they're like, oh
So you
shit,
keep
in
going
rela-
back to that, doing your thing.
Well,
and
I'm
being
trying to be
done
nice. I'm
and
trying to be
being
nice.
finished.
I'm trying to be nice to
And-
you. After you're done jerking your shit,
Nobody wants.
I'm saying then I'm saying after that, and you see in the related or recommended, oh, there's a
special?
stand-up special. Oh fuck, I'll watch that. Maybe that's funny. And then boom, you're
From
watching
a business
it.
standpoint, that's enticing. You're
It's a
like,
great
I don't want to
idea.
see any of this content anymore, and then you have a stand-up special.
because
I
you have
think
no
the exact
interest. You have
opposite
no
thing.
interest in
All right.
sex
All right,
after
so
that.
you-
And imagine
you've
And now
asked
you
my
wanna
opinion.
giggle.
You've asked
the
my opinion
marketing
about
of that.
this.
But okay, last part is like, so imagine variety. Oh, Pornhub's first special, first stand-up comedy special. You can watch it here, and some of the content even relates to porn at times in the special, as you've seen. You've watched this special. You've seen the jokes. You've watched that joke, and so
Okay.
that's the marketing of it.
All right.
It could be,
You're asking my opinion about this.
sort
Or
of.
did you just want to share that?
I
with
wanted to
people
share
and you
that, but
wanted
if
to
you,
say-
you're if you want to, if you think that's a genius marketing tool or not,
The question.
it
I
would
think-
get clicks.
I think it's very viable. I think it'd be awesome platforming for you personally, knowing that special. I watched that special, and that special would probably play on that platform. You're not going to get nearly as much mainstream press
Right.
as you think you're going to get because mainstream press does not advertise anything for porn. So just understand that.
Yeah.
There is no headline that says, "Hey, this is what PornHub is how they're innovating today."
Hollywood Reporter wouldn't
Hollywood
cover that.
Reporter's they're not covering
That's
that.
true.
They're not covering it. So when you talk about that,
Yeah.
I would also have someone else pitch it
Yeah.
because for whatever reason, every time you pitch adding your special to Pornhub, you have to provide the imagery of masturbation along with it. And that I don't conflate the two. Whatever anybody is doing while they're watching porn is their business.
Well, what else would they be doing? But yeah.
No, stop. No, stop. I'm trying to save you from yourself. I'm trying to save you from yourself.
What else would they be
I'm
doing?
trying to save you from yourself.
Save me how?
You're very comfortable talking about that. And I only want you talking about that when you have it buried in a really clever joke.
Right. And
Which
you've
you
seen
do on your
that joke.
special.
Right. You've seen that joke.
Right. But
'Cause-
when you just talk about it like we're in a conference room going, hey, I've
Well, it's a
got
pitch.
innovative ideas
Well, I just
for
was-
you. When guys are done doing this with themselves, don't they want to do this next? No, I'm out of that meeting. I'm tapping out.
that-
I'm done. I'm like, guys, I'm
But
tapping.
that's also me saying it in a very respectful way. I could say it a lot
They
worse.
just don't like talking about it.
You're saying the black
Like
community.
that. No, I'm not saying. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Please help me. I have
I-
there are people on the other side of this camera who are reacting
No.
like me, but you
Sky-
just can't
can
see
I
them.
ask? Can I ask Skylar a question?
I actually think it's a great idea.
It's a
And I'm-
fantastic idea.
let me say it like this: there's like 3 billion people a night who watch Pornhub.
So imagine the views I could
Yeah.
get.
Yes.
So like, even if it's anti-Hollywood, at the end of the day, it's like what you guys were talking earlier when he was like he had all those subscribers on YouTube, but he didn't.
Can
know
you
the value.
imagine though? As soon as you and you're done,
Stop that
and
part!
then and then
No,
hold
I
on, but
agree.
then Law and Order comes on. You're not going anywhere. You're watching Law and Order and you're enjoying yourself, and now you have a
Your-
great night and you don't have to log out.
Your idea
I
for
agree.
platforming is terrific.
Thank you.
Your description of everything around it is foul.
But don't have to be real and it be explain why people are coming to the site. No pun intended.
115 million visits per day.
Yeah.
150 million. I mean,
And
People
you're
that
not
makes me
watch
think-
porn
anything else,
daily.
bro.
oh, and I'm not competing with any. I mean, the more I think about it, I'm like,
It's a
should
great
my site be
idea.
on Pornhub?
I'm just.
Spank Bang,
Okay.
Pornhub, Blacked.
I'll
reach
tell you
out
what.
to me.
I'll tell you what. No, I'll tell you what.
Blacked, I would do well.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what.
Because right, Blacked makes sense.
So I'll tell you what to do. Now I know how to do this for you. Now I know how to help you save you from yourself. I got it. All right.
You're one of the few guys I like pointing at.
Yeah,
me, by the way.
I'm over here though.
I
I'm
like
not,
it.
I'm not in your face with it.
No, but I
I'm
like
over-
it.
I'm
No,
over
I
here.
was being
I'm
genuine when
over
I
here
said
'cause
that.
I'm trying to connect with you. That's why.
That's what I feel like we've
trying-
connected.
Because everything I'm saying is not landed. So I'm like, yo, take this. Take this, right? Take this. Take this. Take this. So when Dave Chappelle wants to like introduce a new comedian to Netflix,
Mm-hmm.
they will build it around Dave Chappelle Presents.
Right.
And then Dave will do like 5 to 10 minutes and then intro the comedian. And then it goes into like Lunel or Donnell or Earthquake. And they're all on Netflix. Dave Chappelle Presents. You need someone who matters on Pornhub to present.
Oh.
Who is that?
Yeah,
Joseph, Joseph Vest.
Kendra Lust presents.
Boom, done.
She would be big.
Kendra Lust presents Joseph Vest.
Oh, that would do big.
Brother, now you are in business.
I need to.
And now you're not talking about and when guys are done and
it could be Rochelle Ryan presents. I know my shit. Actually,
send
or
your
even
shit to Michelle or Kendra. Shut the fuck up,
Rochelle.
and
But
let
it's Rochelle.
and let
Put
them
gotta put respect on
ask
people's name.
PornHub
Yeah.
to upload.
And by
it
the way,
as they present.
Can I be honest?
And
Obviously,
I think you're winning.
I think you're. First of all, you're a genius. You're
really
brilliant.
genius.
And I think Kendra Lust. But here's the thing. I'm not. I go either not. Well, let me back up. I'm open to whoever wants to produce it. So whether it's Kendra Lust presents or Lex Steele presents, hey, who knows?
Yeah, you don't get to choose. You get to present. You get to say, hey, I
When
know you have a large
by the way,
audience.
do you know
does this
Steele,
make
Lex
you
Steele's in
laugh?
your special.
Do you know who Lex Steele is?
No.
I've
That's
heard the
one
name.
of my favorite jokes.
I've
He was
heard
a
the name.
stockbroker and
Yo,
there was
let me
something
tell you
stupid, like,
something,
worked on Wall Street,
dude. I had on my iPad, like a teleprompter for my special, so you saw all the like jokes or what they were, and one of it just said Lex Steele, and I was carrying it through the comedy club, and Michael Che he happened to see it, and he looked at it, he's like, you got me at Lex Steele. He goes, I'm all in. I'm invested. Whatever that joke is, I want to hear what that joke is about Lex Steele.
Nice.
So that's my thing. I guess I'll save my other question and theory for the other, the next episode, because I don't want to bombard you. I think I've overwhelmed you.
I want to stay
I've
focused.
overwhelmed
Like
you.
we didn't overwhelm me. Again, your pitch was trash. Your idea is brilliant, and so
I'm not a great pitcher. I will
want
say.
I want to see it happen for you because I know the special itself deserves to be viewed. So I'm trying to think of ways to make it sexy to buyers who don't like long pitches from people who are not famous or don't have,
It wasn't that long, was it? I mean, again, I'm not a great pitcher.
No,
but
I'm not even trying to make fun of you like that. I'm just saying, I'm like, the way you framed it, ugh. But now when you add Kendra, when you add these other people, give me a list of people that you think would like your special. And I might actually know somebody. I might know somebody who could get your special to them.
You know what the only problem?
I see this happening now.
You know what the problem is?
I couldn't see it before. I knew it was
Oh,
a good
see,
idea.
I've opened your
You
eyes.
do a top-down pitch. You had to like.
You know
go
what
a
the
little bit
only
of the score
problem
out.
is that would bum me out is that I know I'd have to basically change. Then the only problem is I have to take people's names off. There's certain people that would not want to be. So if the special goes on those kinds of sites, there are certain people in the industry that would be like, you got to take my name off, which I would understand.
That's why I was like, when you start talking about syndicated TV shows and stuff, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Well, that's just my pitch. I'm not saying those shows are
But
going to
that's
be
a
on
bad
there.
pitch because nobody wants.
No, but I'm saying the people want that, the audience,
I know.
not those people who created the show. I'm saying, well, Entourage probably wouldn't care, but I'm just saying, like,
brand association is a real snobby thing. Like, if you mention this person's name in conjunction with this person's name and there's no alignment, people are calling their attorneys.
No, I know, but I'm not saying. I'm just saying that if Entourage was on PornHub, I'd watch it there because it would be easier for me because I wouldn't have to go to HBO.
But the part I'm trying to get you to embrace quick understanding and double standards is exactly HBO's legal department would be in contact with you so fast for even using that in the pitch. Like, we don't want our programming associated.
So am I going to get sued for my stand-up there? Is
that.
Will wait?
No, so you do
is
have
Will
to
Smith
think,
going to sue me?
No, so you do have to think. I will say this: if that's something that you want for yourself, if
for my next special, I'm open to it.
No, for this special.
No, because
if for this special, if that's something
I've
you
done
want
too much work.
You have to ask yourself: everybody associated name-wise with that special.
No, they would take it off.
Are they going to be offended now that this is our platform?
Yeah, no, they wouldn't be a part of it. So that's what I'm saying. So listen, but for my next special, I'm all in. Kendra Lust presents, Lex Steele presents, whoever wants to do it.
Okay, so
I'll put the special
out.
out.
So now we have a different path. Okay, so now we have a different path.
The next special. After this one catches fire, we do the next one on, again,
I don't know about Catch Fire. Remember, I said this special is turning out to be your resume.
Well, I meant if this special catches fire, then we do the next one.
You need to show your special
to
somebody who will be willing to do that. Then you need to build new material.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The new material.
That's actually a little more tease and titillation, to be quite honest, because now you can go there. and see if you can.
Did that have to do with what I'm wearing, or you're just talking about the material?
No, I'm talking about the material.
Okay.
She's talking about the material.
No, I'm just because you said material, so I thought you meant like
stand-up, you have to
material.
be wearing a full latex suit.
Yeah,
actually.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm just saying. So I agree with you. So for the next special, I think that's where it lands, and then everyone from the ground up knows what we're working on.
See, what's changed is I come from a generation where you couldn't put a porn star and a mainstream star next to each other at the Starlight Foundation dinner. Like that
Times
just
have changed. Times have changed.
No, I'm dead serious.
Yeah, no, I know.
Now you can have someone who is huge on OnlyFans and their boyfriend is a musician or whatever, and they are at table 4 at that dinner. And it can be that way. But you still have to, the one thing about branding though, you have to be cognizant of is you still have to be consistent with your alignment. So just like you're recognizing too late, wait a minute, that's a good idea.
But it's too late.
But these people's names
of course
wouldn't want to be associated with that.
Of course.
As like as progressive as we are, there is like that
stigmatism is still real.
Yeah.
And you have to like, I don't know. I feel like you and I are gonna have this connection. I'm all about embracing double standards privately and then trying to break them down publicly. But privately, if you're trying to get certain things done, it's just better to understand what is versus
true.
what you want it to be.
Right.
Like, yo, this is the way it is. Are you trying to cross this bridge and get there? All right, cool. This is the way it is.
Or even just recognizing that there is a double standard and that that's just the way that it is.
It's just the way it is.
And then, just being like, well, that's how the cookie crumbles. And then, to do things to break down certain standards.
Well, I think we may...
But I feel like part of my purpose really being here for you is our friendship, me knowing how good of a comedian you are. But how do we get you where we need to get you? And abide by some of the rules of what it is to become more known.
I love this, yeah.
But also allow you to be
me.
Be you.
Be my authentic self, which sometimes can be, as you call it, weird. I call it amazing, but whatever.
Weird as fuck.
Or iconic. Whatever you want to do.
Or iconic.
But whatever, everyone's got different preferences. Save that
confidence for the stage, my friend.
You got different preferences.
Iconic.
So that's why we need. It's a perfect ending. That's why we need subscribers. We need ads. We need Patreon. We're gonna get all that shit going, and that's what we need.
If you want to give us money.
Yes, that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
That's the goal. But I feel like we connected this. Now we really figured this out. We're like, see. What is it called? Simpatico? Destiny?
Like
Kismet? It was all... I feel like we're sharing the same brain today.
We're not sharing the same brain.
It feels like we are.
But I am sharing parts of mine with you.
Okay.
I think I've left you locked out.
And I'm a bad... Listen, I will be the first to say I'm a bad self-promoter, bad pitch in the room guy. I'm more like, hey, here's the product, see it. I'm just saying, that's not my
Joseph,
that's not my strength.
I am being real with you,
I'm not a singer, and I'm not that.
I am being real with you, though. And I might be saying some of this off record. We got I'm serious.
Controls the edit.
But we got it.
Here comes the edit.
No, where it's like,
Uh-oh.
when you say you bad at something, then you just perpetually bad at it. Fuck that. The stuff that I know I'm not good at, if I need it to get to where I need to get to, I need to get better at it. So I'm like,
why couldn't the singer have done that?
So part of it, that's different because she was gonna take me for $1 gazillion before she even looked in the mirror to improve her singing or any aspect of her being. But I'm like, for real, like I want us to get smarter about how we move. Period.
I love that. I'm open to that.
And I know you're capable of shit. Like if you decide to work on a particular shot in basketball, we're always going back to basketball. You're going to get better at that shot, and somebody should probably guard you.
I guess what I'm saying is I'm not saying I'm not trying to improve. I'm just saying I acknowledge where there's weaknesses is what I'm saying.
The thing about our business, about show business that can be frustrating is it's actually better to be it's more useful to be a better salesman than it is to be a better artist. And that's frustrating.
Yeah.
There are dudes and people out here that can sell. They can sell ice to Eskimos. And you out here with the real goods and nobody cares.
Well, and we're living in that age where that's more preferable.
Well, that's exactly. So that's why I was like, nah, there reaches a point in the hustle where you got to have respect for the salesman and be like, what is he doing? What What is his racket, and how can I emulate that and add enough of that to my game so that I'm not being my own worst enemy. I'm not impeding my own progress. And I was the one that told you a while ago. I was like, Joseph, I need to see your clips.
Yeah, you did.
Like, I'm like, Joseph, like, anybody that's laughing out here, they got the funny clips online, and it's just like, I feel like I'm growing with you. I remember that's how I discovered Taylor Tomlinson. I was like, man, she was killing it. Her clips were killing it. It was just
she's
funny.
great. Yeah.
I was like, yo, this is the only funny girl online for like the longest. I don't see as much of her clips now because she's working for CBS. But when she was going at it, her clips, Rife's clips were, women, Rife's, everybody loved Rife's clips.
Yeah.
Clips. So I was like, yo, there's a part of it was like, don't resist.
Right. Yeah.
I need your clips.
Yeah. No,
Let's
100%.
go.
I need the clips. It's the name of this episode.
All
I need the
right?
clips.
Joe needs clips.
All right. Well, this was great.
All right.
This was great. You want to take us out, Chloe?
Awesome.
Whatever.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Everybody Lurks. If you enjoyed it, subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on all of our social media platforms at Everybody Lurks. We're on Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube, you name it. And then, follow us on everything else. And if you guys want to give us money, let us know.
I need money.
Money's good.
You need views.
I need views. I need views which equal money.
You need views.